Happy New Year, everyone. I've just finished a session with a really smart client who's doing really, really well with his British pronunciation. And I just covered a few bits with him that I wanted to share with you here because they were very beneficial to him and I know they can be very beneficial to you too. The first couple of bits were on the rhythm of English. And then there was a couple of words that, again, there was rhythm points to be aware of, but also vowel sound pronunciations to be aware of. And if you're a professional that's speaking English in your day-to-day life, these could well be beneficial to you too. So let's dive in. I'm just going to go through them one by one. There's no editing on this video. It's just me talking to you in real life. So let's get to it. So the first thing that we were talking about was the pronunciation of the words for the, and this particular client has been doing something for the last 3 weeks. So I wanted to make sure that his rhythm and pronunciation of that sentence was correct. So what happens is when you take the words for the, as in I have been doing this for the last few weeks, or for the last few weeks, for and the have a weak rhythmic form. And they are not meaning words in the sentence. They're more there just for grammar purposes. They're certainly not as important as the main words in the sentence that really convey the meaning. As a result, in English, what we can do is we reduce the rhythm of them. So what happens is if I say, I've been working for the last 3 weeks, okay? I've been working for the last 3 weeks. What we can do there is for the becomes the schwa sound in English, which is it's basically a grunt, in both of those words. You might know this already, that there's lots of words in English that get reduced to a schwa sound. What I've noticed with a lot of clients is when you get multiple of these schwa words coming together, it can be quite difficult and just take some practice to get right, because you say it so quickly, especially in normal English speaking, that it can just take a bit of time to get your mouth pronouncing these words clearly and correctly, quick enough to keep the rhythm nice and natural in your sentence. So let's say this, I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this, okay? I'll say it a couple of times slowly, then I'll say it quickly, all right? I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this. Even slower. I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this. And again, connected speech. I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this. I'm not pausing over that whole sentence, okay? And the way that I teach this is what I'm doing there is essentially I'm expressing an individual idea. I'm expressing an individual thought. If you want to know where to pause clearly in a way that makes sense in English, where you're not pausing unnaturally, but you are pausing where it is natural, pause in between individual thoughts that you're expressing. So if I said, I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this, and that's why I'm really tired, it would make sense to pause in between those things because I'm kind of then expressing the next thought, all right? I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this, and that's why I'm really tired, all right? So for the finally at natural speed, I've been working for the last 3 weeks on this, and now I'm really tired. All right. I also said to this client, even though he wasn't having an issue with this, it's also worth practicing another double weak form word at the same time, just because you can get double benefits from practicing this at the same time. And that's to the. So if I say I'm going to the shops, I'm not saying I'm going to the shops. Okay. If you want to sound like a robot in English, pronounce every word with the same amount of rhythm and stress. I'm going to the shops. A lot of the time, clients, when they come to me, they feel like they're speaking like robots. And I wouldn't say that that's the case, but one way that I would say that clients can often improve and make sure that they're definitely sounding like a native or a natural English speaker is by working on the rhythm. So again, to the becomes to the. So let's practice this. We're going to practice to the. Then we're going to practice to the shops with a stressed word after it. Then I'll put it into the whole sentence, okay? To the, and again, to the. What can be challenging here is The TH sound, if you're not confident with the TH sound, when you try to pronounce it really quickly in a reduced form word, the instead of the, you can find it difficult and you can revert to how you used to mispronounce this sound, which is often as a T or a D sound, to the shops or to the shops. Okay, you don't need to get your tongue all the way out your teeth for this. It doesn't need to be to the shops. When you're pronouncing it really quickly like this, you might only have time to say it like this. To the. But you want to make sure you are pronouncing this with connected speech as a reduced combination. To the shops. 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 Walking to the shops. Again, listen to the change in rhythm and stress here. Walking to the shops. Walking to the shops. Now the whole phrase. I'm walking to the shops. I'm walking to the shops. I'm walking to the shops. Can you hear how there's different levels of stress in this phrase? There's the weakest forms, which is to the. There's shops and walking, which have the primary stress in the sentence on, because those are the two really important words that convey the main meaning of the sentence. If I just said to you, walking shops, or I'm walking shops, you know exactly what I mean, okay? So I'm walking. If I said, I'm walking to the shops, then what do you think I'm saying? I'm walking to the shops. It almost implies that I'm walking to the shops and that not someone else's. Whereas if I say I'm walking to the shops, which is what I just said, in this example, I'm walking to the shops, I'm showing you that I'm walking to the shops and not running to the shops or driving to the shops, okay? So that's for the, all right? Now just some other words that professionals, these are just good words, quick fire words, you might know them already, but they're just going to give you that extra bit of confidence the next time you need to pronounce these words with confidence in a meeting, in a presentation, in a job interview, or just in a conversation where you want to be pronouncing English with total confidence, okay? So, unfortunately, I often hear the word unfortunately being pronounced without the correct rhythm and stress. And in the word unfortunately, we stress that middle syllable for, and the way to think of it is this. You're pronouncing the number 4 in this word. Unfor. And what often happens is people will often not pronounce that 4 long enough or with enough stress. Here's how to justify to yourself why you really need to emphasize it. Okay, 1, it's a long vowel sound. So using the British accent method, we want to use the 2-second rule on this syllable anyway. 4. All right, it's a long vowel sound, so make sure that you are clearly differentiating it in length to a short vowel sound in English. But 2, it's also the stressed syllable in this word, which is why it's so important to really stress this syllable. Unfortunately. So let's imagine you're a professional. Let's say I was working with a virologist at one stage that specialised in vaccines and some really interesting vaccine technology that was being developed. Let's imagine you're that person and you're going to say, unfortunately, we've had a delay in the project. Okay? Unfortunately, we've had a delay in the project. Or, unfortunately, I'm running late. Nice and simple. It happens to us all. Unfortunately, I'm running late today. Okay? Pause this video. Put it into a sentence that you could see yourself using this now, then carry on, all right? Next word, after, all right? After, I'll be there after 6, or after I finish this video, I'm going to go and have a coffee. That's what I am going to do, okay? So once you finish watching this video, you can imagine that I'll be having my coffee, all right? After. That first syllable is stressed. It's a long vowel sound, so 2-second rule. After. The client who I was just working with is not from America. He doesn't live in America, but he works for a company based in America. So he gets lots of American English pronunciation. So there's not a right or wrong here. It just depends on what you want to be, how you want to be saying it. American pronunciation, British pronunciation. There's a slight difference in pronunciation on the R vowel sound. I'm giving you the British pronunciation of it here. Okay, R, R, R. All right. 2-second rule. Lots of height in between the teeth. R, 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 R. At least space for 2 fingers. R, R, R. After the meeting, we'll do this. I'll be there after 6. Okay. That second syllable in after is a schwa. It's like to the. Okay. After. So we've got a stressed syllable with a long vowel sound and then a weak syllable. So I really want to make sure that when you say this, you're going after, after, long and stressed, unstressed and weak. Okay. I'll be there after 6. All right. Next, totally. All right. Totally. Stress on the first syllable. All right. I'm totally annoyed with the news. Okay. That's a bad example, but the word is the important bit here. Okay. So we've got the O diphthong. Nearly every English learner that I've ever worked with, and these are smart professionals. Okay. These are people that speak English fluently. Nearly every English learner I've ever worked with has at some stage or another struggled to pronounce the O diphthong and has ended up pronouncing it more like an O vowel sound, like totally, all right? I can think of countless examples of professionals I've worked with over the years where they've ended up saying O more like O. For example, instead of saying oh no, that's really frustrating, they'd say oh no, that's really bad news, okay? Oh no. This is one of those sounds, a bit like the last sound R in after, that really make your English sound British, okay? And that really go a long way to making you sound well-spoken and having really good pronunciation. So I really want to make sure that you're really confident with this sound, okay? So it's the O diphthong. A diphthong means it's 2 vowels clumped together. And what we do with a diphthong is we put 75% of the stress on the first vowel sound and 25% on the second vowel sound. All right. So what that would look like is in the O sound, it's a long schwa essentially, followed by an vowel sound, but they're connected. O. And can you see there how when I do this, 75% of the length is on the first sound. O. And just like all long vowel sounds in English, we apply the 2-second rule. This is so important because if in your native language you don't have long vowel sounds or diphthongs, your default is to take the long English vowel sounds and just pronounce them as short English vowel sounds. And that's one reason why you may well be getting asked to repeat yourself, is just because your vowels are unclear because you're not pronouncing them for long enough. And a super tip here is so many times when I've worked with, again, clever professionals, even when they've thought they've been over-exaggerating the length of the 2-second rule, they've still only just been doing it just enough. And what that means is when you're only doing it just enough in practice, when you then go into the real English-speaking world and you're stressing, you're focusing on what you're saying and not how you're saying it, you're going to speed up to such a degree that it's probably then going to go back to sounding more like a short vowel sound, which is why the 2-second rule is so important here, okay? So, O. It's not O, it's not totally. In this word here, it's O. Totally. Okay? I'm feeling totally exhausted, all right? Totally. Also, bonus tip here, this wasn't relevant to my client because we've worked on this and he's fixed it and he pronounces this amazingly now. But that T sound at the beginning of the word in English is an aspirated T. I just recently posted a video on aspiration. I think it's the last video that I posted on the channel that was all edited. So with a T sound in English, you want to make sure that there's a big puff of air coming out your mouth and there's no voicing in your throat when you say it. So it's not totally, it's toe, toe. There's a secret H sound in there, and if this is new to you, go and watch that video, because that's critically important for having native pronunciation of the P, T and K sounds in English. These three sounds in English are pronounced quite differently in English to how they are in a lot of languages. Watch that video for the explanation on that. Okay, I'll link it in the description below here. Excuse me. So totally, all right. Pause the video now. Do exactly what I've just said. Put it into a phrase that you can see yourself using in work or in a situation where you'd be stressed or under pressure speaking English. That's how you're going to apply these in real life. Next word is tonal. So we were talking about tonality, and my client mentioned the word tonal. Okay, so exactly the same thing as totally. So this should be easy for you now. Aspirated T, 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 t. Get that H sound in there. Tonal. O diphthong again. Tonal. The stress is on the first syllable, not the second. So tonal. Tonal. This is a tonal lesson. Okay? Tonal. Not a very common word in English, so don't worry about it if you're not confident with this word, but at least just be aware of the pronunciation, so you'll recognise it if you hear it, and if you do want to use it, you have total confidence, right? Next word is the word, I've got the word tone written down here as well, but since I've just looked at tonal, totally, same thing, tone. Tone. What's the tone of your voice? This is an interesting one actually, because with the tone of your voice, you can sound rude, even if you don't mean to, if you have the tone of your voice. I said something to someone recently, not at all rude, not meaning to be rude. It was just I said something when I was speaking quickly. I was focused on something else. I said something, and they said to me, "Why did you say it like that?" And what I interpreted from that was they had thought that I'd been saying something rude when I hadn't at all. There was no malice, there was nothing rude mentioned at all. I was actually being polite. I was asking this person a question to be polite to them, but they interpreted it as me being rude. Now that could be to do with their view on the world and anyone asking them questions, or it could have been due to the tone of my voice. Okay, I paused and reflected after that scenario to think to myself, hang on, could I actually have sounded rude there even though I didn't mean to be rude? So tone of voice, very important, be aware of it. Final word that I've got written down here, and I'm going to give you one bonus word, which is becoming more and more and more popular, or I'm seeing it used more and more and more now, and it may apply to you, so make sure to stay for this final word, is the penultimate word is hear, as in I hear what you're saying. Same pronunciation as I am here now. I've just arrived here where we agreed to. Okay, different spelling, different words, different meanings, same pronunciation. So it's a diphthong, and it's the H sound followed by the ear diphthong. I do this because the ear diphthong is the pronunciation of my ear. Okay, ear. It's a I vowel sound that we make a bit longer so that we can have it 75% length of the diphthong, followed by a schwa vowel sound. So ear, ear, ear. It may almost help to think of it as more of an E vowel sound, a long E vowel sound, as in I see, ear, ear. As long as you don't make it too long here, okay? Ear, ear, ear. If you look at my mouth as I make it, you can see continual movement from when I start making the sound. E, ear, 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 ear. Okay? That's how you say, my ear is hurting. Now let's say hear, hear. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with it. I hear what you're saying, we've got to take action. Okay? I hear what you're saying. This is a really good word because people like it when people agree with them. If you disagree with someone, you automatically create a barrier between them. And scientific studies show that when you disagree with someone, automatically their brain starts to like sort of not shut down, but becomes less cooperative in communication. So if you want to agree with someone, you might want to say, I hear what you're saying. And then if you disagree, you can say, I hear what you're saying for this reason. Here's why I think differently. Okay. But if you say, I hear what you're saying, you're already showing them that you are listening to them and that you're at least on the same page by virtue of the fact that you're taking the time to hear what they're saying. Okay. So that's an important one. Let's just use that same pronunciation, but in the other word, I'm here. Okay. Ring, ring, where are you? I'm here. Where are you? All right. Could you hear the difference in intonation, the two ways I said that there? I said the first way, I'm here. It's a statement, finality, my intonation dropped. I'm here. Ring, ring, where are you? I'm here. I'm here. Where are you? Can you hear that? A lot of people ask me about intonation. It's something that I work with clients with, and it's very, very important. It can go a long way to making your communication more smooth and also subverbal communication. The way that native British speakers speak, tonality and intonation really kind of conveys a lot of subverbal meaning, essentially. Okay, so this is why I've got videos about it on the channel here. If you search my channel for intonation, they'll come up. Just a bonus tip there. Right, so final tip, and then I'm going to need to cough and clear my throat because I've got a bit of a... I've been talking a lot, 20 minutes now. So, final bonus word is the condition ADHD. So, more and more these days, people are talking about having ADHD. I remember when I was young, I went to school with someone that had ADHD. And I think there was 2 people I knew when I was young that had ADHD. These days, I'm hearing it talked about a lot more. And I think a lot of younger people these days think they have ADHD. Again, I have no idea about this, but the impression I get is because of smartphone addiction and attention spans being shorter and shorter and shorter, that could be contributing to it, or there's just more people that have it, or there's more awareness around it now. That's another thing. There could just be more awareness around it. If you have expertise on this, I'd love to know in the comments, are more people having ADHD? Is it being diagnosed more? Or is it due to smartphone addiction and people being unable to focus consistently for a long period of time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But here's how we pronounce it. It's not ADHD, it's ADHD. So when you're pronouncing this, you pronounce the letters like you would pronounce these letters if you were pronouncing the English alphabet. If you want 100% confidence pronouncing the English alphabet, one of my most popular videos is me showing you how to pronounce the English alphabet with perfect British pronunciation. So I'll link that below as well. But let's just get into the pronunciation of ADHD. So the pronunciation for the letter A is A. It's the A diphthong. Okay. Then D, 2-second rule on the E vowel sound. A-D, not A-D, A-D, then H. And we use connected speech here. A-D-H-D. 2-second rule again. So what's happening here is when we're saying multiple letters next to each other in English, especially in this scenario, we can use connected speech. We don't just say, I've got ADHD. We can say, I've got ADHD. Can you hear that's like one long word? ADHD. It's almost like I'm singing it. ADHD. Okay? ADHD. So if you think you have ADHD, or if you do have ADHD, drop a comment in the video below. I'd be interested to know. And there you have it. A number of tips to get 2025 off to a banging start. No delay. Be an insider in English this year. Pronounce English with total confidence with the British accent method. I'm here fighting to help you achieve it. I'll see you soon.